This week's ReZero episode was one of the most anticipated scenes of the arc from many novel readers, as well as my attempt at explaining why I don't think a now highly popular fan theory of Al equals Subaru is the case. How well did it hold up? Let's talk about it. We see what Al's side of the mirror looked like, and this is actually an anime original scene, as he uses the mirror and Amelia picks up, and Amelia treats it as not so significant. Al seems to be a bit stunned at the person on the other end, as Amelia passes on the information she has gathered about their locations, but Al tries to stop her. You don't have to try so hard, you know? Being a captured princess and all. Don't be reckless. It's okay to want Natsuki Subaru to save you, but Amelia clears up a misconception of his. She never had any doubt about Subaru coming to save her. She's doing everything she can to make it easier for him. Aldebaran confirms he will relay the message, and Amelia is sure she will. Why is she sure? She doesn't know. Something about him reminded her of Subaru, almost. Now I know what you're thinking, because everyone is thinking it. Al equals Subaru, especially with the face reveal at the end there. I would like to push back on this idea, but I'm going to save it for later in the video where I find it more appropriate, and I want us to keep in mind what he said to Amelia in this conversation to essentially resign to her fate and wait for someone else to do everything. Put a pin in that for now. Al enters the room, telling them about a message he received from Amelia, and Garfield also enters, crying and making a mess of himself as Subaru tries to calm him down. Al asks about the broadcast meteor, and Subaru tells him it's their trump card for winning the city over. Wrath's authority is putting everyone on edge, and the embers of slaughter are smoldering, and the plan is to turn Wrath's authority on its head. They need to inspire hope. Anna is worried, however. If opening the floodgate was an act akin to retaliation, what if they do something even worse in response? Subaru, however, disagrees. Lust was not at the floodgate that opened, yet it still did. How would that be possible? Anastasia wonders if not breaking the meteor was part of their plan, and Al cuts in with a husky voice, saying, "They don't have a reason for anything. They don't care one bit about anything we do. They've never lost, and they've never even considered the possibility." Anna changes her mind, voting for a broadcast, and Subaru says that Anna should do it, but she says that she isn't good enough at this kind of thing. What about Krush? Well, she's brain dead. What about Julius? He can't do it. Garfield asks, why can't Subaru do it? Anastasia and Julius both agree, and he can't help but wonder, how badly can you overestimate someone? He had felt this way before as well when interacting with Wilhelm and Krush and Reinhard. They were misunderstanding who he was. They were badly mistaken. They were all far more worthy of praise. They worked far, far harder than he did. The way they all praised Subaru, reached out to him, and treated him as a friend as if it were the obvious thing to do, that always tormented him. It made him anxious. He was sure that, at any moment, his real self would slip out and he would end up disappointing them. Garfield, Anastasia, and Julius were all expecting so much from Subaru, even though he was always so desperate, always on the verge of being crushed under the weight of their expectations. They were adding more and more to the load, as if desperation was not enough. That was the path Natsuki Subaru walked. Somewhere along the way, he realized he couldn't just stay Amelia's hero. He needed to... That's when Al cuts in. If you're not sure, you can leave it be. Causing Garfield to explode in anger, asking what he knows about his captain. Al bites back. Is saying Captain's supposed to cast some sort of magic spell? That the name of some Superman that can solve any problem? He points out how hard he is leaning on Subaru, asking if he is really that special. Garf could beat him in a brawl, and when it comes to smarts, he can't beat Anastasia and Julius. If only he could just put the whole world on his shoulders and keep on rolling, now that would be something to see. Just what would you want from the star at center stage, Al says, as he points to himself and Subaru. Your average background character can't carry that kind of weight. You ever think of how he must feel? He turns to Subaru, asking if Amelia is the most important thing to him right now, because to him, he's going to do what he can for Priscilla and leave everything else for later. If he can protect her, himself, and Schultz, that's enough for him. He remarks how the cultists are just vermin that'll pop up again somewhere else, even if you go out of your way to exterminate them. Demons that come back to haunt you. Subaru, however, has an incredibly thoughtful response, and one that only Aldebaran could understand. He can't run away. Why? He wouldn't need a reason to pull a kid back to the sidewalk if they wandered out on a red light. He wouldn't even think twice. Al warns him, if he does this, he will carry the full weight of those heroic reveries. You can't afford to lose. You have to win. You'll be fighting while carrying everyone's hopes and expectations, all while leading to some happy future. Subaru's response? Not being able to afford to lose is how it's always been for him. He'll do it. He'll play the role of a hero and find his resolve. Now let me be clear. Even if I weren't the #1 Aldebaran glazer, this moment is incredible. You have this repeated mention of heroic reveries from Al, and a remark in the narration about Subaru's real self being exposed, and it gives us a clue into Subaru's current mentality. Subaru is still someone that doesn't love himself, because of course you can't just flip like that. Subaru did learn to treat himself with respect in Arc 4, but it's much harder for that lesson to sink into who you really are. Subaru isn't working to protect himself, but in a way, he's working to protect the heroic image of Natsuki Subaru, a visage overlaid on top of him, a method of projection onto a different entity, and we see this when he accepts that he has a lot to shoulder. A core message of Arc 4 was that he can't do this, as Otto and the others came to his rescue, but now in Arc 5, for him, it's always been this way. Thinking about how he can't just be Amelia's hero anymore. How far will Subaru's heroism take him, and how true will Al's words become? Aldebaran reports a cautionary tale to Subaru. Heroism will crush him. Those reveries will break his back, and no matter what he does, the witch cult will pop back up. There is a lot of suspicion about Al, and a lot of commenters keep pointing out about how has a lot of similarities to Subaru. Therefore, Al equals Subaru. I disagree, however. I think Al's nonchalant attitude about how nothing is his problem anymore, and how he should only purely focus on the one in front of him, is supposed to paint a symbolic similarity to Subaru, not a literal one. Aldebaran isn't literally Subaru. He is Subaru who has given up on heroism, who has given up on everything but a singular solitary goal, something that Roswell tried to instill in Subaru, and that's why we're seeing Al right after Arc 4. It's because Al is supposed to represent that version of Subaru that could have existed, not actually be him. That's why he also passes that advice to Amelia, just give up and let Subaru save you, because that's how things should be. Do you think if Al were really Subaru, he would be able to stomach watching Amelia be taken hostage? Stomach anything about Amelia at all? And, be so firmly on Priscilla's side instead? It's a great story of two people with very similar circumstances, but two different paths. Al clearly has a very rough go in this world, having experience with the witch cult, and up to something in the city, but has given up on the path that Subaru now walks. This is why him being isekai'd is such necessary information, and what makes it so frustrating, it was only placed in a break time and not organically included in the season. Subaru steps up to the meteor, an initially gloomy, silent shelter, feeling a faint seed of hope when Subaru cuts in, only to have it be crushed when he tells him it's not solved yet. He inspires hope in them in a unique way by telling them to think of others, to look the other people in the shelter in the eye, and to understand that none of them are alone and that could be your greatest strength. He appealed to their normalcy. He's just a regular guy, being tossed around by this crazy situation just like all of them, on the verge of being crushed by the madness of it all. He's weak, he's scared, his knees are going to buckle even making this announcement, but he won't give up. As long as he has his friends, his comrades, he will do anything he can to stop them. He wants to run away, but he can't. He wants to cry, but he can't just cry. He doesn't want to lose, so he'll fight. He'll fight to prove to the people he loves that the ones who made them sad were wrong. Nothing changes when you stare down at your feet. You can't burn a hole into the ground no matter how long you look at it, so please keep your head up and your eyes in front of you. Then, at the very end, he finally reveals that he is Natsuki Subaru, the spirit user who defeated the witch cult Archbishop of Sloth, and to leave thanks to him and his friends. This scene is fantastic, and it displays the heroic reveries of Natsuki Subaru, someone who knows he can't do this, someone who is about to crumble, but he'll do it anyway, because he is the hero that saved Rem. I especially love the red light analogy he used for Aldebaran in their conversation. It's not a question for him. He won't even think twice about being a hero, but now he's really gone and done it. Just how much more can Subaru shoulder until he truly cracks? What makes this heroic angle especially interesting is that, to me, this episode feels like a sequel to the iconic episode 18 of Season 1. A scene where Subaru had entirely given up, a scene where his legs did give out, where he no longer had any fight in him. Giving up was the hardest thing for him to do, and the only thing that pulled him out of that darkness was someone being there to tell him to look up and keep his eyes forward, that giving up doesn't suit him. Despite how badly he wants to give up, he knows he can't because people are relying on him, and he wants to impart the same sentiment on other people. The same kind of words that saved him over a year ago. Giving up doesn't suit you. Have other people be your strength, and keep looking forward. What I especially love is him saving his name for the end. Rather than coming down on them as an authoritative figure, he met them on their level. That's something Natsuki Subaru is absolutely great at. He put himself as a person first, before being a knight. It also ties into the stuff I've been talking about all core, about how important names are. During the section of his speech in which he was the least confident in himself, he didn't give up his name, but during the most inspiring segment, he finally gives it up, his title, and his accomplishment. Not only did Subaru talk them into feeling hope, he talked himself into it too, getting ready to establish the final matchups of the Watergate city of Pristella. We see cuts of Amelia and 184 throughout this episode, as 184 and the other wives have given up in the face of Regulus' oppression, but that speech speaks particularly to Amelia's heart. 184 reveals her past, Regulus coming through to kill everyone that knew her face or name. 184 was in a way hoping for salvation with Amelia running away, to have this come to an end. Every day they live with the terror of constant death. Just how much courage does it take to live like that? 184 asks who that voice was, and she tells her that was her knight, and she won't run. She won't leave them all behind. She wants to make all of them happy because marriage is a ceremony to become happy with a person you treasure. She is against such unhappy relationships. 184 tells her to do whatever she plans to do on her own, but Amelia rejects that. She was never alone. Let's do this wedding. Subaru wipes the sweat on his brow, realizing the room had gone quiet. Anastasia can't help but ask if he was a former con artist, remarking how he just ignored the speech draft she gave him, and Julia says the identity reveal was supposed to be at the start, but it was splendid. Aldebaran seems to be avoiding him, looking away and moving to the corner of the room, seemingly lost in thought. They begin to discuss how they'll kick the witch cult's asses, and how they'll take over the 4 control towers, but they're low on cards and pieces to play. Then, how about adding a trump card to the field? Subaru spins around to find Otto. When asked what he meant by trump card, he says he brought someone else, as Reinhard von Astrea enters the room. It's late, but he's going to be joining them now. This episode had a few changes I was not a big fan of as a novel reader and as an Aldebaran glazer, but the speech is one of my favorite scenes in ReZero, and as usual, Natsuki Subaru's voice actor delivers a killer performance, and I hope this episode goes down as some people's favorite. Now that we're going to be setting up some potential matchups, feel free to leave some comments in the comment section below about who you think will be facing who. There is a little bit of cut content in this episode, mainly being from Aldebaran, as per usual. Credit where it's due, though, I'm pretty sure the speech is in there word for word from the novels. When Al initially enters the city hall, in the anime he just basically goes, "Hey, what's up?" But in the novels, when he enters, he remarks that mentality of Subaru's is what makes him no good. Those heroic reveries that will swallow a crowd whole. The entire air of the room is entirely different from the novels. There is basically no trust for Al, who has been MIA for basically the entire attack on the city, and when Al comes in telling Subaru about a message from Amelia, he doesn't trust him at all. He asks why he and Garfield got here at the same time, to which Garfield says that he was running around the city frantically looking for Subaru's scent, thinking he found it, only to stumble upon Aldebaran. Now in the anime, we see exactly how Al got a hold of the conversation mirror, and believe it or not, novel readers still do not know how he got a hold of it, so we got an overarching mystery solved in the anime, which I can't say I'm too big on. The following conversation takes place without knowing how he got it, but Subaru begins to question Al on how he managed to get into contact with Amelia, and Aldebaran's only answer is that he just so happened to stumble across a conversation mirror. The stars just so happened to align, he puts it. In the novel, you have no idea if this is true or not, and Subaru's narration states that he doesn't really believe him, but he knows that pressing him on it would amount to nothing, because he's never going to give him a straightforward answer. This was cut because we saw the answer on how he got it in the anime, so having all the suspicion around Al would undercut the suspicion he is supposed to have. The final cut comes from Otto and Reinhardt's entrance. Otto's entrance was trimmed significantly. In the novels, he enters the room saying he didn't know he had a hero for a friend, and basks in the joy of everyone being glad to see him okay. Then he mentions he heard they were running out of pieces to play, and he didn't walk in with him because it would have spoiled his triumphant return. And then Reinhard von Astrea enters the room. That will be it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this bombastic episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe for more. You can also check the description down below to become a member, which gives you benefits like early videos, membership badges, and cool custom emotes. You can join the Discord where we talk about ReZero, Kagurabachi, Jujutsu Kaisen, and all kind of stuff. Additionally, you can go to the channel store and pick up some awesome stickers made by our channel artist, so you can carry the power of Graphia with you on your water bottle. That's about it though. Thank you for watching. See ya.